But now we're going to go right into the different customer types. So there's 4 customer types. One is called the analytical. I consider myself analytical, and so I work well with analytical people because we vibe. We we are probably overthinkers, and we want everything to be right and accurate. And then there's the director. And the directors are sometimes called drivers, or some people call them assertive, because there are people that think. First of all, let me say this about the director, and then we'll go into the directors. That they're usually people that they talk a lot, and they think they know it all. And so then there's the expressive, and the expressive people are people that are just like, they're highly expressive. They're they're kind of woo woo. They're kind of all over the place. And they're really about kind of being more performance oriented and expressing themselves, and they're going to want a little bit back of the expression from you as well. And then there's the amiable. These are people that care. These are humanitarians, hardcore. They care about people. They care about results. They care about making sure that everybody is connected and being taken care of. And so those are the 4 types. All right, so let's start with the first one. The first one we're going to start with is analytical. So like I said, I'm highly analytical. And so these are highly thinking people. Some characteristics of highly analytical people is this. They think a lot. They're about logic. And then they're also naturally cautious, because if you're thinking things through a lot logically, it's a byproduct to be cautious. And then they care about thoroughly vetting. So they're going to want to get as much information as they can before they make any kind of decisions or they come to any kind of conclusions. And they also want to understand their options. Like a lot of times with analytical customer types, when I'm doing my contract with them, they're like, well, I noticed you put this and this, but is there possible for us to do this, this, and that? So they will try to explore different options with you and see if they can create kind of a partnership that's more in sync with what it is they're wanting. Also, I would say this about analyticals is that they don't make decisions quickly. They're really going to want some time to think about it. And they don't jump the gun on their decision making, meaning they're just not going to make the decision without really thinking about it, which is really the same thing as saying they don't make decisions quickly. And when they do make their decisions, they're secure. And then the thing about analytical people is that they stick to their deadlines. And also they're very kind of specific in terms of the way they think. And they think their way, and that's the only way they're going to think. And so let me say this about analytical people. They're really thinking people. So you got to be prepared. If you're not analytical and you come upon a customer that's analytical, you got to be prepared for them. And the way you could be prepared for them is to consider this. What is their need? They need to feel confident that they've made a smart decision. And how do you do that? How do you communicate with them in such a way so that they know that they have made a smart decision? You do that by coming to the table prepared, because you have to assume that they are highly prepared and they've done a lot of research. And so they're going to have a lot of questions. You need to be able to answer all those questions. You need to be able to have done your own research. You need to be like just as prepared as they are, so that you can come at them at the level of kind of intelligence that they need, because they're highly analytical people. And then also you're going to want to provide as much detailed information. So you can't be specific with them. They're going to want to know, like, what's step 1 and what's step 2 and what's the process and what's the outcome, what's the metric. They're going to want to know things. And it depends on the customer. Some want all this and some want some things. I will say this when it comes to working with analytical people is try not to make any high-level claims. So, like, for instance, so a lot of times these online entrepreneurs say, I can guarantee you'll have 100 customers by the end of the month. A highly analytical person is going to say, how is it that I'm going to have 100 people by the end of the month? And tell me specifically what it is I'm going to be doing. And why is it that when I'm doing that, I net 100? I mean, highly analytical people probably don't buy those kind of programs, because they're like, no, you're not. No, you're just a whole bunch of humdrum. So I tell people, be careful when you work with analytical people not to overpromise, because if you do, then you're going to need to deliver. And if you don't, then, you're going to probably, it's going to cause friction in your relationship with them. And then also I would say that never rush an analytical person. Give them time. They will come around when they're ready to come around. And then also, let me say this, and this is true for all the customer types. I know for me that within the first 5 or 10 minutes, I know if I'm going to vibe with somebody and if I'm not going to vibe with somebody. And I will say this, as much as you want the sale, if you don't vibe and you don't feel no energy, don't force it. Let it go, because you're just going to find yourself in a situation where you're miserable and it's not working out well, and you're going to have to refund money, or, you know what I mean? So just remember, like, if it just doesn't feel right at the beginning, be all right with that. Or even if you in time discover that it's not going to work out well, I say it's important to create what I call plans to get out of your contract, so that, you don't have to continue to be bogged down with someone that, you're not really working well with. But I will say this for any of the customer types, don't force it. If it doesn't feel right, it just doesn't feel right. And honor that, really, because I'm going to tell you something right now, nothing is going to make you more miserable than to be working with a client that you don't want to work with, and it's just challenging and it's hard, and it's like, sucks the energy out of you.